guys, so this will be my review of Haikyuu Chapter 219, Hunger. And we start off with Kageyama, and he is playing in a practice match, and it's quite interesting because the coaches that are overseeing this training camp have swapped their places. So Kageyama, who is a setter, is now serving as a wing spiker, and a person such as Sakusa, who is usually a wing spiker, is now a middle blocker. And the coaches, they kind of discuss how switching their positions kind of worked out for the best because the players are restricted in their positions, since as a setter you don't really get to spike as much, but you could still be talented at it, as Kageyama is. Kageyama's like talented at everything. But yeah, putting them in other positions gives them time to shine in areas that they wouldn't normally shine in. The coaches then also talk about how these people that are gathered here in this training camp will soon become the elite force of the volleyball sport. So these people here will soon have to show for themselves, and they will have to bring results. Which is why training camps like these are so important, because when you have a good player surrounded by other good players, that player will become great. Having people of your caliber around you just helps you grow that much faster, and your game is just on top of it. Like, especially in a team sport, if your team is just not on your level, it is limited how much of your strength you can show. But if all the people around you are as good or even better than you, then you can really show your abilities. And that's kind of what this training camp does. And the one thing that the coaches point out is that the geniuses that really get to shine in this training camp will probably, or hopefully not, have problems going back to their regular teams that might not be at the same level that these people on this training camp are. Because if you're then used to playing with people who are this good, then going back to the people who are decent might kind of confuse you, and you have to go back into a rhythm where you have to adjust to these people not being as perfect as the other players you played with. Because I think it's Kageyama who says this, the people he plays with move very smoothly, and everything they do it flawlessly. And that's not really the case with Karasuno. Karasuno is a team of players who are still learning, they are still finding out who they are and how much they can grow. And they just have so much room to improve. And going from a team that is near perfect to a team that is so far from perfect might be hard for Kageyama. What might save him though is that he played as a wing spiker. I didn't know how much of the training camp he did that, but he played as a wing spiker rather than a setter. So he doesn't have to adjust of being a setter of a really good team to a just above average team. Then when the practice match is over, we have Kageyama talking to Mia, who was the person who called Kageyama Little Goody Two Shoes. And Mia has this really good line, because Kageyama's like, "You're a really good setter," and he's just like, let me just read what he says. He says, "People who cannot hit my tosses are nothing but scrubs." And who does that sound like? Middle school Kageyama. And I swear to God, the face that Kageyama makes, that he just looks at him and he's kind of like mildly surprised, but his face is just priceless. I was so satisfied watching that. It was just... Following that statement though, Mia then says that Kageyama would actually be better off as a wing spiker than a setter because he's so great with the spikes and all that. But Kageyama's like, well, yeah, maybe, but I'm a setter. And it feels like he's not really believing his words that much. He was just like, yeah, well, I'm a setter, that's all I understood. When you go back and compare that to, I think it's like the second or third episode where Hinata's like, "Why are you a setter?" And Kageyama gets really fired up about being a setter and why that's the absolute best position ever. And in this chapter he's just like, "Oh, I'm a setter, you know, that's just who I am." It feels kind of like he doesn't care too much. I don't know where that is going though. But then Kageyama asks him why he called him a little goody two shoes. And Mia says that it's because when Kageyama plays as a setter, he's very honest, diligent, and obedient, or whatever. Which is kind of what I pointed out in my review whenever he said that he was a little goody two shoes. That it's just Kageyama plays very safe at the moment. He does what people would expect him to do. He doesn't take risks. which is bad because that makes him easy to read, and that's not good when you're trying to win against an opponent by trying to be unpredictable. But this then concludes the training camp from Kageyama's side, and we have this really nice panel at the end where everyone is just going back to their schools, back to their homes, and we see the shot of all the rivals that will be coming up in the spring tournament. And then we have Kageyama leaving with his buddy from Shinsen, so that's nice. Then by the end we actually go back to Hinata, and he is also leaving his training camp, but he's actually stopped by Kindaiichi, who then asked about how Kageyama is. Like, she just randomly asks, and Hinata's just like, well, he's fine. And Kindaiichi is really coming far because he and Kageyama could not stand each other at the end of the beginning of this series. But then Kunimi comes up and it's just like, well, Kindaiichi, you're just too hung up about the past. You should just let what happened in middle school go. And Hinata has this really powerful but yet a little weird line where he's just like, it's okay to just do what you want to do and not budge about it, not compromise about it. It's fine to do just that, and that's why Kageyama is where he is now. That's because he did just that. So basically I think he's telling Kindaiichi to not think that Kageyama did better because he moved on, but just, it was okay what you did, so now we can move past that, and that's fine. And they leave, and at last we have the reunion between Hinata and Kageyama. After all this time, they have both become stronger as players, as people, I guess, and they'll finally be playing together again. And isn't that nice? Because we have a practice match with Dateko coming up, and I'm super excited to see how that will go. I have a feeling that Karasuno might lose because we have now had Tsuki, Hinata and Kageyama have been separated from the rest of the team, and those three are regulars, so having them separated from the team and then coming back as completely new people will probably mean that they need time to adjust to new playing styles, and Hinata probably has a ton of new moves that he want to try out after having observed all the players. So I'm guessing that they will use the practice match to train all of these things, but in the end they will then lose because you can't just do that and then expect everything to go perfectly the first time. I think Karasuno has experienced that firsthand throughout the entire series. But yeah, I think that was all that I had to say about this chapter. Leave a thumbs up if you liked anything that I had to say, and leave in the comments below what you thought of this chapter and how excited you are about seeing Kageyama and Hinata finally being together again. And subscribe to me if you want to see more of me. I also do reviews of Shokugeki no Soma and One Piece, so if you're into those, please subscribe. And until next time, bye!